Okay, so let us start our meeting. Chat. Did you already met Tongwei?
I believe so. Chungwei?
Yes. Okay, she's saying yes. Okay.
Good
I
morning.
believe I'm not sure if anyone else is gonna join us. I know that Vijay told us that I believe I understood that she told us that she will be joining us in 42 minutes eventually. Um, but let me just start by sharing my screen, and we'll be passing through a little bit, just looking at the agenda for today,
Okay.
and we'll move on from there. Uh, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So, as usual, this is our standard agenda. So we'll start with a little retrospective here. We'll see what we completed in the previous sprint. We also have like an enumeration here of things that we have been working on the current sprint, but we were not able to finish for one reason or another. Oh, really? I changed this yesterday. Okay, so we have some questions here for you. And, sorry. Okay, was not refreshed. And if you have any question after that, we'll see from your side. We'll talk a little bit about the priorities for the next sprint, and I forgot my previous task, so we'll not be reviewing our Excel sheet this time. And afterwards, we'll talk a little bit about the next meeting, and that's it. So let us start by the beginning. So in this current sprint, we completed a bunch of stories. Not all the stories that are here have any visual impact or new feature-ish thing. It's more a change in the internal code. And I'm talking about these last that we call refactoring here. So these are just internal changes that we did on our code in order for the code to be more readable, to be more understandable, and more expandable in the future. We also added some things that are not directly viewable, that are not, you cannot see them, or there is no real point on showing them to you. It was something that we were missing and we started working on now. And that's the authentication part. So now we on this sprint we changed things on agency people, tasks, skills, and the categories. What does this mean by authentication? In the previous version, we allowed everyone to access everything. It was easy. It was just to start the development, so every type of user could access every page that you will see. Now we started implementing. We changed that, and now we have something that we discussed with you before, I believe. And some users will only be able to access some parts of the application, and other users other parts. Like for instance, the skills part. Um, it's creation of skills, viewing of skills, and removing, editing them. This is only allowed to the agency admin. So all the other types of users that try to access this page, they will not be able to. Uh, some of them we were not able before because they didn't have like a direct link on the application, on the interface of the application, so you could not click it. But if you type it, the URL on the top bar, you could access that. So we also these changes here, and we have a bunch of other lined up to do in the next that we already been doing, that we did some part in this sprint, and we have some other stories around to do to add the authorization onto other parts of the application. Um, so So this leaves us more or less this core of tasks that are more feature-like in our changes to the application. So now we allow the case manager to edit the job seeker information. So in order to follow one of your requirements that you said that this was something that you needed on the application, that allow the case manager to help the job seeker to fill his profile. Also, another thing that we added is the notification of the case manager. So if a job seeker gets hired, he will receive a notification of that. This was
Right.
implemented before, but only for the job developer. So now it's also for the job seeker.
Okay.
So we change a little bit the interface while editing the agency. It's able to, now the branches are sorted. Another big implementation for this sprint is this one, where you can, we previously allowed a company person to accept someone for a job. Now we allow them to say, no, this application does not suit us. So this is the story that we have here. It was a big accomplishment. This sprint was one of the big features that we developed now. Also, we added some pagination on the recent jobs, because if you, let's imagine you had 100 jobs since the last time you saw them or created in the last couple of days, then you'd have like a list of 100 names. Now it is paginated like all the other tables, and we'll show you a little bit about that after. And we also enhanced the job search. That's something that we will show you too. So we have a demo prepared for some of these points here in the middle. And now, if Patrick is ready, I'll kick it to him so he can show us a little bit some of these points. Okay. So Patrick, are you ready there?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yes.
Should be able to.
You can see it. Okay, great.
So it's all yours, Patrick.
Okay, so Chad, just going to show you a few things that are some of the most visible stuff in terms of the work that was done in the past sprint. So 3 areas that I want to explore. One is the pagination of the recent jobs. So job seeker, when they log in, they have a home page that they land on. And one section in the home page is, so here I'm logged in as Tom Seeker. He's a job seeker. We list the applications that Tom has made to various jobs and active. And at the end of this, we also show new job opportunities that have arisen within the past 3 weeks, I think is the default here. So there's this, and by pagination, what we mean by that is that when we go to the next page, this is many pages of jobs. He's been busy and applying to a lot of jobs, but if we didn't do what we call pagination, when I hit 6 to go to the 6th page from the 5th, I would go all the way to the top of this view and I have to scroll back down again to see this table. But because we paginate in place, you don't have to do that. The other thing I did want to point out about this is that, well, let's go to the top. So here we see a bunch of jobs that are highlighted in yellow. And what we did here was we are showing jobs that have been added since the last login by the user are highlighted in yellow. So Tom last logged in yesterday. These jobs were created about 2 hours ago, as noted here. So I think I've got about, looks like about 13 jobs that have been created since he last logged in. And then we get the jobs that were created before he last logged in, so they're not highlighted. So that's a nice little indicator for the user of what they want to focus on in terms of new jobs.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's that. So I'm going to log out here, and I'm going to now talk about notification of a case to the case manager that a job seeker was hired, or maybe hired's not the right term. A company contact goes in and marks a particular job application as accepted. That indicates they want to hire the person. So that's our intent there. So I'm going to log in here as a company contact with a company that has multiple jobs open. And so part of what I see on my homepage is the jobs that we have open in the company's Widgets Inc., and the number of applications per job. Now, also what's happening here is on the back end, in the background, I've got another browser open. I'm logged in as Chet. And the reason I'm logged in as Chet is both a job developer and a case manager for this particular job seeker, Tom Seeker. So I want to see if notifications happen, what events occur. That's why I've got this logged in as an agency person who's both a job developer and case manager. So let's look at this first job. I'm now back to my browser where I'm an employer, a company contact, and I'm going to click on this number. I can see I have 6 applications to this particular job that we've posted. And if I go over to the next page, I can see here's Tom Seeker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reject Tom's application. And I'm going to, this chat, I don't know if you remember that if you reject a job application, we want the person to put in a reason for the rejection so that we can learn how to do things better.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, skills not sufficient, and I'm going to say reject. So 2 things happen. One is this display updates immediately say not accepted. This particular application is not accepted. Over here, the person who's the job developer and the case manager for that job seeker got a notification that the job application by that job seeker was rejected. Now, we're actually sending 2 notifications here, one for the job developer role, one for the case manager role. We're going to reduce that to 1 notification, even if the person has both roles. There's no reason to get 2, but right now we're sending it twice because this person has both roles for that for that job seeker. So let me go back to my home page again, and let me go back to another view of how to reject. So I can reject a job application here, which lists all the applications for the job. I can also click on an applicant's name and go see the specific view for that particular application for that particular person. And I can reject here as well. So I'll click that. Same phenomenon happens. A window pops up and says, please give us a reason for the rejection. Now, if you said that we should require the rejection reason, which makes sense. Now, if I click and I want to reject the application without giving a reason, what happens is this. It says, please enter a reason for rejecting this application. You can't go further. You can't reject the application without putting something into the reason block here. So we're trying to make sure that people give us a reason because that's important. So there is that case manager. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back to jobs, and I'm going to go back to, let's look at another one of these jobs. Let me see if I can find Tom's Seeker. Now I'm going to say I like Tom for this job. So I'm going to accept Tom, accept his application, which is basically my way of indicating we intend to hire this guy. So I accept, and notifications go out. So when we say notify, we're talking about email.
Did we just lose him?
Okay, I think we just lost him.
Just lost him? Okay.
I think so. So let's see if he pops back in. Okay, there you go. Oh, nope.
Hi.
Okay. So
How long was I away? Where was I?
you were about to start your presentation.
I was about to start? Seriously? You didn't see any of that?
No, I see it.
Yeah.
You literally didn't see any of
You
it.
were out for like 20 seconds.
I was going to say, boy. Anyway. So I was describing how we've accepted a job application as an employer, and we're notifying both the case manager, the job seeker's case manager, and the job seeker's job developer. Here we see the notification coming through.
You need to show us
Oh,
what you're saying,
yeah.
because
Right.
the reflection in
Yeah.
your glasses is not enough.
I need bigger glasses then.
Gotcha.
Okay.
More
So
reflective.
there we go. There we go.
I'm having trouble with Hangout stability right now. I'm going to keep this, and I hope it's not too disconcerting. I got to keep the Hangout window up so I know when I'm lost.
We will tell you when we lost you.
Yeah, but it takes a little while for me to notice the message coming through. But I got to look on Slack. So anyway, notified that, hey, your particular job seeker has been accepted for this job. So that's great. So as a job developer, case manager, I'm happy to see that. I'm glad I'm notified of that. So we went through job seeker hired. We went through job application not accepted. The last thing I wanted to show real quickly here is a small enhancement we made to the job search form. So let me just go to jobs. I'll click on job search jobs. And you've seen this before, chat. Some minor things we've done here, just a few things I want to mention. For things that are selectable, a known quantity that we can select from, like city, the cities here are showing only cities that are associated with active jobs. So if there's a city in the United States that once had a job but it's not active, it doesn't show up here. So we've created a bunch of dummy jobs in the database, right, with a bunch of dummy locations. So I can say, gee, I want to look at jobs in these locations in Alabama because I tend to live here, live in that area, and I have this skill and I have that skill. And I'm also interested in this particular company, who I know is a reputable employer in my area, and this particular company. So now I've created a search here that has a lot of stuff on it. This will find nothing because it's over constrained. We don't have any jobs at these locations. We actually don't have any jobs with these skills attached, etc. But if I do that, I'll click on search jobs, and sure enough, it says 0 jobs found. But you can see this is a lot easier to make multiple selections of these rather than scrolling down and hitting the control key at the same time you press your mouse button, etc. That's why we did it. So this is much easier to use in terms of selecting multiple items within a selectable list. So I'm just going to kill all of these guys. And I'm going to say, well, gee, I would like to see jobs associated with these two companies. And so I'll search jobs. And I found 2 jobs, one for each company. And this all works. So now I want to say, well, gee, what if I just want to focus on a job that has officer in the title for whatever reason? So you see here, what we ought to have is just one job left because I'm selecting 2 companies, but only one company has a job with the term officer in the title. And so I click search jobs. And sure enough, we've filtered it down to this particular company with a title that contains the word officer. So, and then associated with that, we've updated the help page to say how you make multiple selections for cities, skills, and companies. Before it was awkward because you had to hold down, again, the option key and press and click with the mouse to make multiple selections. So anyway, minor change, but I think it's a little bit more of a streamlined user experience. And that's the intent there. So that's it. If there's nothing else, I'll stop sharing and we can go back to the normal meeting.
Okay.
You want to unpresent me? Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so basically this is what we've been working on, and we completed this sprint. As I said before, let me just reshare my screen so everybody can see the agenda for today. And so we also worked on other things. Some of those things that have been here for some time. We're trying to wrap them up, but other things came up, so we're not able to close them. So as I said, things that we worked on as well, they were more of the authorization, authentication here. So basically, these are the ones. Another thing that we were not able to finish yet, it's the configuration of the mailgun. Everything is set on the DNS side. Now we need to do some changes in our code in order to use Mailgun to send our emails. And more or less that's it for new things. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic, and the next topic is the questions that we have for you. So since we wrapped up the DNS change this week, that's cool. So we're done there. Now we have it's not really a question. It's more we need you, Chad, to do something for us. And in order to do that, so we need to explain you more or less how the cruncher works and everything, so you can understand what we need from you and what we need to make sure that the application works correctly. So, and this brings us to our topic here, discussion about resume categories and resumes need. Okay, so English is not the forte here, but that's it. So basically, the Cruncher itself, it has a way to organize. It does some math. It just picks up some words and stuff like that. And the idea in the end is to try to categorize a resume or a job into a category. So let's imagine you have a resume, and inside that resume, for some reason, it says basically that the user that resume of that person is let's imagine it works as a mason all his life. So we have everything there, and when we pick up that resume, we put it into the cruncher, and the output that we expected the cruncher to give us is that this is a mason. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. So the idea here is that we will have a group of categories, and in these categories we can put there whatever we want. For example, we can say we have a category for Mason, we have a category for a software developer, we have a category for, I don't know, warehouse clerk, something like that. So in order for us to be able to match then the jobs with the resumes and the resumes and the jobs. So the first thing that we really need from you is for you to sit down a little bit and to think about what kind of categories do you need to have in the application. So let's imagine that the bulk of your clients, it's people that work in a warehouse in different areas of the warehouse. So you want to have everything that's around the warehouse. So we need to create categories for example, or for specific jobs, or for the full warehouse, if you think it's enough to have it just one category for a warehouse. Are you following me, or am I just putting my hands?
No, I'm following you. I'm following you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first task that we really need is for you to try to narrow down to which level or to which categories do you think are more important to your clients. What's the caveat here? We need to be careful because we cannot be too strict on the categories nor too wide on the categories, because if we have to think that the way this matching thing works is it looks at the words that you have there on the resume, it counts them, it does some probabilities with them, do some math, but it's all based on the words. So for example, if you have let's imagine we say we have a category that's broad, that's like warehouse worker. Okay, in that group we'll have to fit in people like the clerks and the people from the forklifts, the regular workers, the people that just put everything on boxes, the people that the receivers, and these are completely different resumes, I think. But at the same time, if we mesh them two into one category, we need to be careful because we might not get a very good punctuation on the when you try to match against that category. Okay.
So, okay.
The flip side of the coin in this place is that if we do a category like for a receiver for a warehouse, we will have very granular ones. So whenever you try to find a receiver, you'll get a very good punctuation there if the resume is a receiver resume. But we will have a lot of categories, and that will take more time to process, and we will need a lot more resumes to start off. Okay, so these are we need to come up with a balance between very broad categories and very narrow categories in order to solve this issue. Are you following me? Understanding more or less?
I'm following you, and I'm thinking at the same time, like how to kind of break it down.
Okay.
So,
And this is the first step that we need to happen in order. It's not something that we need today or tomorrow. It's something that we will need because this first step will come with a second step afterwards. And
okay.
that second step is we will need to get a pool of resumes for each category that we select. So for example, if we have a warehouse, we will need to have, I don't know, I've played around with this, and if we do like 10, the important thing is we need to have a number for all the categories. So if we say we will use 10 resumes for our teaching, we'll have to have 10 resumes in all the categories. And these 10 resumes, it's like the base resumes that we will use as the borderline, and they will be used to calculate all the other resumes, the probability of being in part of that category. Okay, so for example, let's imagine we decide that we have a warehouse category. For the warehouse category, maybe 10 resumes will not be enough. We will need more resumes because we have more jobs inside the warehouse that we need to match, and we need to match with a relatively good punctuation, a receiver and a forklift driver, right? Because they work in the warehouse. So we need to have a bigger set there in order to train our let's call it our artificial intelligence that will
Okay.
categorize everything. Okay.
All right.
So these are the two steps that we will require from you. First of all, we need to narrow down and understand which are the categories and how granular do we want to have these categories. And the next step is try to get a good sample of resumes in order to make our machine learn from them, so that the machine can distinguish between one type and one category and another category.
Okay.
Chad,
Let me see.
if I could maybe add some confusion to it as well, but in terms of the categories, I think my thing is, I think we're going to have a couple of rounds on this. You'll probably come up with some categories, and then we may come back and say, well, we think that's too general. We're going to have way too many jobs fitting that, or we think that's too granular. You'll have 1,000 categories. For instance, let's say truck driver. That's a category. Maybe truck driver works. Maybe that's sufficient. However, maybe based upon your knowledge of what that world looks like, maybe truck driver has two categories: truck driver long haul, truck driver short haul. Maybe that's a better, maybe that better represents what the truck driver job market looks like. Or maybe we have a category: truck driver long haul class A. I think class A means the big rigs. Truck driver long haul class B. That's smaller rigs, I guess. So now we've got three different levels of granularity we could use for category. We could just do truck driver, which covers everything. We could do short haul, long haul, which is the second level, or we could do truck driver, long haul, class A license, which is a third level of category. I have no idea what's correct and whether we should be at level 1, 2, or 3. But that's the kind of question we need to solve. You know what I mean? When we design these categories. So it's not trivial.
Okay.
And it takes some thought, it takes some industry knowledge that you have that we don't.
This is not a question of being wrong or being right. The categories that we decide. This is something that I believe we'll have to be always refining. So we will, when we start, we will start. Let's imagine we'll start with 10 categories, and we say, okay, these 10 categories work for now. But in 2 months after after working with the system, you look at it and say, I need a little bit more granularity in this particular category. I need it to be split into 3 categories. Then we will go in and we will change it in order for to make it more to get a better matching here. And we will be always adjusting, and that can happen also when we have 2 categories and say, these 2 categories are too similar, we might just merge them together, and we will merge them together. So this is going to be an iterative process that will happen throughout the lifetime of the application. It's not something that will be set on stone on the beginning, and we'll have to be with that. So something that we will be able to refine with time.
Okay. So for example, warehouse, you can have the laborer side, administrative side, and both in management. Can you hear me? I know it's a lot of feedback.
Yep.
So so does that make something like that? So it'll come out as laborer or administrative side or both or management. So you want it broke down like that.
This is going to be like an experiment. We'll have to see what better fits your clients, because let's imagine that you don't have management parts in the warehouse. You don't have any client that's applying to that position. So it doesn't make sense to have a category that represents 0 of your clients, or that will be able to match 0 of your clients. So we also need to work a little bit on the clients that you have, and to think, okay, maybe we don't need to focus on all the jobs that exist in the world. Let's imagine that your clients are focused on a specific industry. We can just focus on that industry to start off, and just create a categories for that industry. And for that specific, let's imagine warehouse, let's imagine you just have clients for warehouse, then we can be very specific and try to target each position on the warehouse, because it's a smaller world, and we can just do that for that. But when the application grows, we will think about that and see if it works, because it might work as well.
So I'm trying to see. So the agency and the employer, they can tailor the cruncher to their needs. Is that what you're saying? I think you said that before. It's something about they can tailor it.
Yes, that will happen.
I'm not getting a lot of feedback.
that will happen. It's not
Okay.
happening right now. It's something that we haven't worked yet on the connection of the, let's call it, the administration part of the cruncher.
Okay.
But yes, that will be the case. The only issue that we currently uh, we haven't thought a lot about the multi-agency thing, and currently the cruncher only allows you to have one configuration. So let's imagine it's going to be one person that will be able to change all the configuration on the cruncher. So it's not going to be agency specific. We haven't really started going through that path. We have some things that we maybe will support fairly easily, having like two agencies. But that's something, that's a path that we will work after we have this first agency strong and working. But yeah,
Okay.
answering your question, in the future we will be able to tailor the cruncher on for maybe not the company itself. Not sure if the company, it makes sense for the company,
Okay.
because this is more an agency thing. So each agency will have, let's imagine that you have an agency focused on warehouse and on truck drivers. So we will be able to have one set of a cruncher that gives you awesome results on warehouse and one that gives you awesome results on on trucks, and they are separated
Okay.
worlds.
Chad, also, what I'm thinking here is that one way to get information is to talk to some of your customers and based upon their industry, what job categories they have. For instance, if you have somebody who manages a warehouse, like maybe an Amazon, fulfillment warehouse, ask them what categories do you use? Do you just have a general laborer for most of the things happening within the warehouse, or do you have half a dozen different distinct categories? For instance, I think a forklift driver, for instance, in a warehouse has to be certified. It's heavy machinery. So I would think there might be a specific category for jobs that require certain skills. So again, talking to your clients, your employer clients might lend useful insight here. Maybe you have a company that does trucking, and they'd be great to talk to in terms of how they go about categorizing people for specific jobs.
Okay. Patrick, can you do me a favor?
What's that?
Can you email that to me, because that's a great idea. What I'll do is I'll try to set up a meeting with some of the clients, sit down with them, and gather some feedback from them.
Okay. Yeah, I'll email you those thoughts.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Sure.
It's a great idea. Like General Motors, so I can definitely set up something with them, and hopefully they'll provide me the information that we need.
Absolutely. They
Yeah.
may give you stuff that's really granular. We may choose to be a little bit higher than what they give you. But anyway,
Okay.
it's a great starting point. We want to mesh with the employer's needs, not just make it up on our own.
Right. 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 That's an excellent idea. Now, I do have like two questions. Well, I think it's like two questions. You got something to say, Joel?
Nope.
Okay. So back to the hire and the rejecting part. Remember, I don't know if I missed it, but remember it's a processing part. So say we review the job seeker's resume. I'm the employer. I review it and I'm rejecting them. Is it possible we can put some pre-written comments that it can drop down and you can just, like not sufficient or doesn't meet the qualifications? That's one thing. Two, so while we're rejecting these people, before we can hire someone, we have to contact the job developer, correct? To bring him in for an interview. So do we have a processing, button? Remember that? So we can, press on the processing, and then we can either reject or accept them.
You're
So
saying
it's
you
just that.
have let's imagine someone applies to a job, and you want afterwards, when someone from the company starts looking at the job seeker at that application, he somehow moves that application into processing and
Correct.
then to reject or accept.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
they need to drop down because, I mean, that's the reality of it. First, they want to interview the person before, if they're interested in them, they want to interview them first before
Mm-hmm.
they accept or reject them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can accommodate both of them, both the things there. So we will create two stories for that.
Okay.
Um, uh, Let me think.
I think on that first one, Chet, I remember we talked about that when you first brought up the idea of having the reject reason entered,
Correct.
and I thought we decided that we didn't know enough right now to build a semi-complete list of reasons for rejection, so we wanted to just do free text entry initially, and then
Okay.
convert that
Okay.
to, based upon what people enter, we now have a list that we could build that covers most of the reasons for rejection.
Okay.
If you're not comfortable with that, we can certainly go forward with it now in terms of putting together a selectable list of reasons. But that's kind of
No,
what I
I'm
remember our
comfortable.
logic was at the point. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you're right. You're right. I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was something that I was going to tell. Because uh, I was thinking is maybe the application will will be harder for us to do afterwards than now, while the changing into a list of reasons is gonna be easier. So let me think a little bit about that, and see if we can accommodate these two changes into our MVP or not. The first one, maybe we will just postpone it. And about the, let's call it that life cycle of the application from active to processing and then to these two states, let me come back to you to see to think how complex that will be and if we can accommodate that right now or not. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So anything else, Chet?
No. I like the demos. You guys are doing a great job. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Okay. So I think from our side, that's it for the questions. Do you have any more questions for us?
Nope. Not at this moment.
Okay. So I need to remove this part from here. Um, I'll try next meeting to introduce the our Excel here and start talking about priorities that we have for the our MVP lists. But I need some homework that unfortunately I was not able to do. So we'll try to pick that up in the next meeting. And about the next meeting, as we talked on like 2 weeks ago, we would be doing every other week a morning, every other week the afternoon, the usual time. So is
Okay.
it 5:30 on the 21st okay for you?
Yeah, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so I think that's it. I don't know if anyone has any question or anything that would like to speak, to talk about, or something.
I noticed you have AM up there. You
Don't you
have
want
5:30 a.m.
5:30 a.m.? Don't you want
Yeah.
that?
I'll probably be asleep. Right.
Yeah, I'll just change it to 2 p.m. It'll be
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye, Vijay.
All right, bye, Vijay.
So, anything else?
No, that'll be all.
That'll be all. You guys, anything? No, some way.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so
Bye bye.
I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and we'll talk. Okay.
All
If you
right.
need something in the meanwhile, just send me an email. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, don't worry.
Have a nice weekend.
All right, Patrick, Joel, take care.
All right. Thanks,
All right,
Chad.
bye.
Have a good day. Bye now.
All right.